Good evening. Welcome to the Mind of STEM channel, where you get your daily dose of science, technology, engineering, and math. My name is Leon Jones, and during this session, I'm going to talk about something that we in the construction industry or general industry need to know. It's safety. But I'm just going to break it down tonight, and I'm going to call this video, Let's Talk About Construction Safety. Let's talk about construction safety. Now, the reason why construction safety is very important because construction is a dangerous job. Although I haven't seen it, it has happened. Been fatalities in construction, whether you're working indoors and outdoors. This is why you have the CFRs. The CFRs are established by OSHA. They're your 1929 series. Now, those CFRs talk about ladder height. They talk about lanyards, how high your guardrails need to be. It's basically requirements, again, from OSHA. And one thing I will advise you all on when it comes to construction safety, if you hadn't gotten it already, you need your 10-hour and your 30-hour OSHA card. I have mine. Now, all you have to do is sign up for the course and pass the test. It's very imperative that you understand safety. Now, there are also programs in safety. But when it comes to safety, and let me share my screen with you all. And this is, of course, a paper that I wrote, Construction Safety. And this paper that I did was from my IET 33520 class at Purdue University, Human Factors for Technical Systems. And I talk about construction safety. Now, I'm going to bring you the abstract, the introduction, the construction hazards, the comparison between the construction industry and the general industry, ways to improve construction safety. I'm going to tell you how to set safety expectations. I'm going to tell you how I am going to promote an environment that is non-threatening, also planning ahead, take full advantage of technologies, communication, and training. Of course, I'm going to conclude it all off by summarizing this project that I did on construction safety. And of course, I'm going to show you all of the references where I generated all of my information from to write this paper. So, of course, now we deal with construction safety. And again, construction safety is very pertinent. Let me open it up for you. Okay, what I'm telling you, this research paper analyzes statistics and fatalities and industries in construction work. Again, now, as I said before, construction work is more hazardous. I'm just going to overreach it by saying it's much more hazardous than other occupations. Why? Because most accidents involve falls of persons, and they basically occur during working on roofs, scaffolds, and ladders. Now, collapse of structures and falling materials also account for many fatalities. And of course, many of these accidents can be avoided by the establishment of procedures and regulations to enhance safety. Of course, many of the safety hazards are specific to the different job classification, and typically construction workers underestimate the hazards in their own work. Now, this affects the motivation for adopting safe work procedures. Why? Because the cost of construction accidents amounts to about 6% of total building costs. Now, there are hence forceful monetary incentives in construction safety. Hopefully, these will encourage the industry as well as other industries to, well, let me go back. This will help encourage the construction industry as well as agencies to invest in this area. So there are several needs for this research. My introduction, again, I simply tell you about construction. It is one of the largest industries in the United States with 7.03% or 9.4 million of all the civilian labor force. It is one of the most dangerous industries, according for 20.3% or 1,121 of all occupational deaths that occurred in the year 2002. It has one of the highest rates of occupational injuries. Again, it has one of the highest rates of occupational industries, or I'm going to say injuries. Again, it has one of the highest rates of occupational injuries and illnesses compared to other industries and with construction in other developed countries. Now, during the period from 1980 through 1995, at least 17,000 workers died from injuries suffered on the job. Now, the dynamic, temporary, and hazardous nature of the construction industry poses a challenge for conducting research studies. Construction workers perform several physically demanding tasks with varying types and levels of exposures. They are expected to change employers and work sites frequently due to the transitory nature of construction workplaces and, of course, projects. Now, due to the advances in technologies, most of the tasks on a construction site have seen changes with more powerful and complex tools and machinery. Construction workers are also believed to own a unique cultural mindset towards the perceptions of different levels of hazards. All of these aspects need to be considered in the design and implementation of any strategy for injury prevention in the construction industry. As I point to the construction hazards, much research has been conducted to understand the nature of construction work because it is known that construction workers are exposed to a wide range of hazards. Construction sites are generally multi-employer work sites, so safety responsibilities can become decentralized with many contractors and tradesmen coming and going off the construction site. So when it comes to construction projects, they're fast moving, which increases the likelihood for hazards to be overlooked. Problems often exist with workers and the work site. So together, all of this adds up to a dangerous environment where incidents are multi-casual in nature. So when we deal with contractors, they're specially trade contractors, and they make up a large percentage of fatalities. Now, the group of specialty contractors includes masonry, painting and paper hanging, electrical, plumbing, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, carpentry, concrete work, steel work, and excavation work. Now, you also have heavy construction and general building contractors. They split the remaining percentage. Now, general building contractors include residential, industrial, and non-residential contractors. Heavy construction work includes highway and street, bridge, tunnel, water, sewer, and utility. Now, to understand these statistics in greater detail, look at the types of hazards found on construction sites. Now, falls account for the highest percentage, about 1/3 of construction fatalities. So here's a scenario. A 43-year-old male who was a temporary worker was fatally injured when he fell from a scaffold plank. The victim had been hired through a temporary labor service to work one day for a roofing contractor on a residential roofing job. The victim was working with a crew of 6 laborers and a supervisor. The workers were removing old roofing material, hand carrying the debris in metal trash cans from the roof and dumping the debris into a truck located adjacent to the roof. Now, the roofing contractor used a ladder jack scaffold playing as a walking platform for the workers to use while carrying debris from the roof to the truck. So the victim was hand carrying an arm full of debris across the plank to the truck when he fell approximately 9 feet to an asphalt driveway below. Here's another hazard. You just heard of fall. Transportation-related fatalities are the next with about 25%. So transportation-related hazards can be collisions between vehicles, workers on foot being struck by a vehicle, or a non-collision event such as a rollover. Shadow vehicles provide, or we call them pilot videos. They basically provide notice to approaching traffic and physical protection of workers in traffic situations. So when it comes to vehicles, they are supposed to have backup alarms and backup cameras to help reduce collisions. And also, contact with objects account for just below 20%. So we have harmful substances, environments, that's about 15%. So the top 3 fall hazards are ladders, roof edge, and scaffolds. The largest area is being struck by falling objects. Now, something else that you need to understand. If you're doing construction and you're working in a trench, you're going to deal with excavations and trench cave-ins. And they are next followed by caught in equipment and collapsing structures. Now, one worker is inside the trench with equipment along the sides. The trench has no shoring or benching. One worker is inside the bench with equipment along the sides. The trench has no shoring or benching. Now, when you are digging a trench, this is why you have to have shore boxes and each ladder. OSHA wants ladders placed 25 feet from one another. Now, when you are doing benching, I prefer having a nice 2-to-1 slope. The reason why you need to have a 2-to-1 slope or even a 3-to-1 slope, we call that benching, that helps prevent cave-ins. And also, besides cave-ins, electricity. Electricity accounts for most contact with harmful substances fatalities. Why? Because contact with power lines is the largest of this group. Example is the boom on a concrete pump truck. It's much too close to power lines. That's why you have to put signs up that say overhead power lines. Now, let's compare the construction industry and the general industry. Now, the construction fatality statistics clearly support the conclusion that construction work is more dangerous than the general industry. There are several reasons for this. General industry projects move comparatively more slowly, and the work is all under one roof, and each job task is well planned out. General industry workers typically have well-defined job descriptions, whereas work hazards, for the most part, they're generally known. For example, a worker in a manufacturing plant might be trained to operate one particular machine or a group of similar machines. By comparison, construction workers are exposed to a wide range of hazards such as electricity, toxic substances, working at heights, moving vehicles, trenches, chemicals, and of course, confined spaces. So no two building projects are alike, and projects move comparatively quickly. So work tasks and hazards can be unpredictable. Now, the dynamic environment makes it difficult to create safe, stable work zones. Other differences exist as well. And here they are. Wow. You have to understand construction work is physically demanding, so many construction employees work outdoor and must endure adverse weather conditions. High worker turnover, temporary workers, and day workers make it difficult to maintain a well-trained workforce. So when it comes to construction work, workers may be unfamiliar with their work and they lack the necessary skills or lack understanding due to language barriers. So the safety management structure is also different because when it comes to general industry, their workplaces are typically controlled by one employer. The management structure is centralized with well-defined OSH responsibilities. Should have been, or I call OSH is occupational for safety and health responsibilities. Conversely, construction sites are usually multi-employer sites with many different subcontractors and trades working simultaneously. Now, of course, in the construction industry, an owner hires a design professional and a general or prime contractor. Now, the design professional produces a set of plans. The general constructor hires the subcontractors and chooses the means and methods to construct a building according to the plans. Suppliers and other employers may be on site as well. So a project may also have more than one prime contractor with its own subcontractors. So one of the famous types of contracts is design build. Why? Because it is yet another variation where contracting and design are done by the same firm. Also, the GC, which is the general contractor, oversees and is responsible for all of the work. This includes scheduling the work, quality of work, and site safety. Now, the general contractor or the GC defines the safety program, holds toolbox talks. Now, a toolbox talk is basically you go into a site called Toolbox, and in that site, you have different safety briefings. You're going to have electricity. You're going to have slips, trips, and falls. You're going to have wash down stations. I'm just giving you examples. So that's what toolbox talks are. And the GC also performs regular site inspections. Now, the subcontractors should anticipate hazards particular to their work and provide a safety plan to address these hazards. These workers apply the tools of their trade to do work in a safe manner. In reality, safety management becomes decentralized when multiple subcontractors are on a site. One or more subcontractors may create a hazard that puts all employees, including their own, at risk. So hazards go uncorrected or undetected as the project moves quickly to meet deadlines. So workers, for the most part, frequently work on their own decisions when it comes to their safety. For example, subcontractor A removes a chimney, creating floor openings on each level. This subcontractor does not cover the openings, exposing all workers on the site to a fall hazard. Now, subcontractor B is hired exclusively to cover the holes, but they failed to do so. So the general contractor or the GC, which oversees the work, may fail in its oversight responsibilities. So as a result, any worker in proximity to the floor openings will be exposed to a fall hazard. Now, the exposed worker could be a tradesperson, an estimator, or even a salesperson. For example, a GC was hired for a bridge construction project. The GC hired a subcontractor for the steel work. So one of the subcontractor's employees was installing cross beams between the girders. He was tied off to a horizontal lifeline, while at the same time, the general contractor employees were installing tongue and groove planking between the girders. They were walking back and forth on the planking without fall protection. It was a call for coffee. The GC's employees went for coffee, leaving a small section of planking at the far end unfinished. They did not place a cover, guardrail, or warning tape at the opening. So the steel worker saw what he thought was a complete plank walking surface. He unhooked and walked in the same direction as the other workers. It was nighttime and there were lights shining toward him. He did not see the open hole created by the unfinished planking and fell 20 feet to the ground. This is why you have to have your lifelines, your lanyards, and you tie everything off. And if you're working at night, you also need to have flashlights and you have to alert each other. And it is up to everybody. I know the GC is responsible for overseeing a project, but safety is everyone's responsibility. I repeat again, safety is everyone's responsibility. So I've come up with ways to improve construction safety. Now, the term time is money is quite literal in the construction industry. The constant pressure construction managers and crews face to meet deadlines and stay within budget also causes safety to fall to the wayside. So in 2016, out of right around 4,700 worker fatalities in the private industry, 1 in 5 were in construction. So implementing each of these strategies can help improve health and safety in construction on any job site. Set safety expectations. Well, OSHA's safety and health regulations for construction, OSHA 29, CFR 1926 serves as a baseline for safety improvements. Safety management in construction must reinforce these regulations and go beyond by continuously leading by example and making safety a priority before work begins. So by setting clear expectations for safety from the beginning, managers can set the tone to ensure each worker understands their personal responsibility for safety. And when that happens, everyone will be helping one another toward a common goal of preventing injuries. And as a safety manager, it is important to walk the talk when it comes to workplace safety and health. The example you set and the way you talk to workers about safety has a huge impact on a company's safety and health program, safety culture, and ability to reduce injury and illness. So according to OSHA, when workers are able to recognize the value management has for their well-being, in the end, it helps build trust. And understand some workers may never interact with senior management, but it's found that these employees are more likely to value and internalize safety messages when they are occasionally delivered by higher level management rather than passed down in a chain of command. So make it clear that it is everyone's responsibilities to follow rules, procedures, and best practices to prevent accidents on the job site. So incorporate safety language into policies and procedures so it becomes ingrained as a natural part of a worker's daily routine. Now, an informal safety talk at the start of each day can make safety managers' jobs easier by improving worker understanding or we can say of safety expectations. So preventing wasted time on inconsistencies and minimizing chances of error. Again, toolbox talks, you heard me mention that early, continue to be the most effective means of communicating safety to workers. Why? Because they basically spark valuable discussion on general safety and information about safer tools, equipment, materials, and of course, processes. Now, under OSHA's website for a variety of topics from emergency planning, tool and equipment, safety, trench boxes, let's put ladder safety in there, PPE. PPE stands for personal protective equipment, and more to help create or obtain a presentation. Always make sure the content is relevant to your specific work site and feature engaging elements like visuals and anecdotes that workers can connect with. Again, promote an environment that is non-threatening. So always encourage employees to speak up when they see that something is going wrong, because this can significantly help avoid injuries, incidents, and fatalities. So to increase chances of participation, ensure workers feel comfortable to ask questions and raise safety concerns without fear of retaliation or bullying. This will make it easier and quicker to address issues head on to prevent them down the road. Again, OSHA finds that managers avoid giving feedback to prevent confrontations. So if improvements to a worker's performance can be made, approach them in a constructive, positive way. So make sure to avoid judgmental statements and criticisms and focus on the behavior itself, not the person and their values or personality. And again, always plan ahead. Ensure all pre-work activities such as approvals are completed before work begins. So a thoughtful planning process can help the workday start on a more efficient and safe foot. Implement zoning to block off areas where certain tasks will take place, install nets and catch platforms, and apply any other safety measures. Stage and stock each work area with the necessary tools, PPE, and equipment before the workday begins. This will make it easier for workers to access what they need. So also make sure to supply the right tools for the right task and double check the workers' understanding how to properly operate, or let's say get workers to understand how to properly operate the equipment they'll be using. Eliminate hazardous distractions and obstructions by reinforcing consistent housekeeping practices on site, and also take advantage of technologies. And this can be done by providing new opportunities to address safety challenges and experience immediate cost savings. Technology can be worth the investment to help bridge time and distance along with constraints. It will also improve efficiently. It will help efficiently improve your safety, but it's going to also improve efficiency, and your safety will be helped in the long term. Now, the growth of digitalization in construction now makes it possible to make real life or real-time decisions remotely. So UAVs, which they're unmanned aerial vehicles known as drones, are already used in the industry. Yep, they're using drones in the industry, and they provide a convenient way to conduct safety site inspections, observations, and safety audits. Managers can use smartphones, tablets, and project management software to share project data instantaneously from remote work sites. Again, this is very big. With the technology, we all have smartphones, we all have tablets, project management software. Well, construction safety software has already been implemented into the software. And what happens? You can share project data instantaneously from remote work sites. And when I mean remote work sites, you don't even have to be there. And you can share it to workers and other on-site supervisors by the use of a cell phone or tablet. So that allows everyone to have immediate access to the same information, which eliminates cost of equipment that must be updated and maintained, and it keeps everyone consistently on the same page. Finally, wearing devices like smartwatches, glasses, and clothing allow managers to have better visibility of site working workers. Now, these devices have the ability to alert managers to activities going on in the field and even improve response time when injuries do occur, like the ability to detect when an employee slips, trips, and falls, triggering an automatic alert to designated site personnel, including medics. These devices will also keep track of locations of workers and procedures on the job site. Trigger alarms exist to streamline evacuation procedures in the event of any emergency. So these capabilities often offer immediate safety benefits. There are also a number of free iOS is for iPhone operations that exist to promote hazard prevention efforts. And also communication and training. An easy way employers can communicate with workers in different areas on a job site is through safety signs and labels. So comply with OSHA and ANSI standards and reinforce safety anywhere on a work site with easy to install pre-made construction labels and signs. The most obvious benefit, of course, is that training prevents injuries and fatalities. Other benefits of providing work safety and health training include reduction of overall construction costs by reducing penalties and fines, compensation claims, and associated administrative costs, along with legal expenses. So in conclusion, what I came up with is the nature of construction makes it difficult to create safe, stable work zones. Construction workers are exposed to a wide range of hazards such as electricity, toxic substances, work at heights, moving vehicles, trenches, confined spaces, and chemicals. And understand that construction projects move quickly and hazards can be unpredictable. So workers must endure physically demanding work regardless of the weather. And the work is very, very hazardous. And when you're in construction, you could be assigned to any project on the site. So what I'm saying is raising any type of awareness can help promote safety. So management can conduct a safety stand down by breaking for a toolbox talk, by discussing job hazards and inspecting safety equipment. Workers should work safely according to their training and alert other workers of any open hazards that they find. Owners should only hire contractors with good safety records. So, last but not least, owner presence and involvement will help to show a commitment to safety. And if you want to know where I got all the information from, here are my references. From the AGC, the Associated Contractors of America, 2009 Manual of Accident Prevention for Construction. The Construction Safety Management and Engineering Text, second edition, 2014, Des Plaines, Illinois, from the American Society of Safety Engineers, Construction Safety Planning by McCollum D, 1995, New York, New York. Of course, OSHA, Analysis of Fatal Events in the Construction Industry, 2011. ESUB is a good site. And of course, OSHA, but overall, construction is a great occupation. However, if you want to live to see another day, always practice safety. And when you practice safety, you reduce insurance costs, you reduce injuries, and you reduce fatalities. And that is my commentary on construction safety from the Mind of STEM channel. On this channel, you get a daily dose of science, technology, engineering, and math. Like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Now, if you can't find me here on the Mind of STEM channel, you can check me out on Twitter. And also you can check me out on LinkedIn. Once again, thank you for viewing this topic on construction safety from the Mind of STEM channel. On this channel again, get a daily dose of science, technology, engineering, and math. Until next time, my name is Leon Jones. I want you to have a wonderful and precious evening.